Victor Wembanyama is an absolute freak of nature. He is so good that even the best player of this generation, LeBron James, has been constantly commending Wemby for a long time, and it looks like the king was spot on about Wemby. When you have got LeBron James calling you an alien, you have to be doing something right. So let's take a look at how Victor Wembanyama has turned himself from one of the most exciting prospects in league history to a young superstar impressing in his first season. Let's also see how Wemby matches up against a guy who was once an incredibly interesting NBA prospect, LeBron James. What makes Wemby so great? In the past decade, there have been a lot of NBA prospects coming into the league who are seen as a consensus #1 overall pick. Guys like Zion Williamson, Anthony Davis, and Ben Simmons have all been seen as clearly the best players in their draft class, but Victor Wembanyama came into the league with a different sort of hype around him. Wemby entered the league as not just a consensus #1 overall pick, but he looked like he had the potential to be one of the best players an NBA had ever seen. While guys like Kristaps Porzingis and Karl Anthony Towns were seen as having the potential to be the brilliant modern-day big men, no one has the skills at over 7 feet tall that Wemby seemed to have. Before entering the league, fans were watching the French prospect nail threes and produce the slick handles that you would expect from a world-class point guard. Oh yeah, and he was doing all this while putting up multiple blocks per game before he had even turned 21. Pro A MVP, as well as the best scorer and best defender in the league. We have never seen a prospect like Wemby. So the Frenchman had all of the pieces to be one of the greatest NBA players we have ever seen, and he even landed in the hands of one of the best coaches to ever do it. So with a huge amount of expectations on Wemby, he certainly had his doubters before stepping onto an NBA court. While his performances have not coincided with a lot of wins, I think the haters are a little bit quieter since his NBA debut in October 2023. The Spurs have been very smart with Wemby over his first 35 games in the league, averaging around 29 minutes per game despite some exceptional numbers. Wemby is averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds per game despite his limited minutes. Even more impressive is the fact that Wemby is leading the league in blocks in his rookie season. While the numbers are pretty impressive, what is even more outstanding is the highlights he has been producing since in certain games. Just a week after his NBA debut, Wemby had an incredible 38-point and 10-rebound performance against the loaded Phoenix Suns. He put up 21 points and 20 rebounds against the Chicago Bulls, just bullying the other team on the boards. The highlights have truly been out of this world. For one thing, Wemby has shown his ball handling skills are exceptional. He can genuinely handle the ball like a point guard, and if the Spurs had some better shooters, then you would imagine that he would be putting up more than 3 assists per game. But with his ball handling being so fluid, Wemby is able to produce his own shot, even if it is from beyond the 3-point line. 20 points per game in your rookie season is exceptional. Although Wemby will want to get his 3-point shooting above the 29% it is currently at. On defense, it is more than just the blocks that show he is excelling. Wemby has the best defensive rating on the Spurs roster, and it rates pretty highly against other elite defenders. His defensive rating is better than guys like Paul George, LeBron James, Julius Randle, and even Giannis Antetokounmpo. The fact that Wemby is already producing better defense than LeBron is really impressive, and the French superstar looked exceptional in a recent matchup between the two. Some people have called Victor Wembanyama the best prospect since LeBron, so their matchup was a must-watch. LeBron and Wemby matchup. While the two teams split the pair of games between them, LeBron had probably the best highlight of the entire matchup. The King was clearly feeling like he wanted to show the fans he was still the man on top. LeBron must have loved being matched up with one-on-one with Wemby, staring the big fella down in the corner. With the little shimmy, LeBron nailed the step-back three-pointer. Despite his over 7-foot wingspan, Wemby was still not able to get a fingertip on the ball and stop it getting in the bucket. It was pretty good defense from Wemby, but still not good enough to stump the King. The comparisons are somewhat fair, even though there are a lot of differences between the two players and their playing styles. But with Wemby being such a highly rated prospect, it seems fair to compare him to a rookie LeBron James. Comparison with LeBron James. Considering Wemby is more than half a foot taller than LeBron, the comparisons are not exact. But the Frenchman is the most hyped prospect in the league since LeBron was crowned the chosen one before he even put on a Cavs jersey. In terms of their rookie seasons, it is hard to compare the two because LeBron was playing some huge minutes from early on. The Cavs clearly weren't as worried about injuring the youngster considering he was playing 40 minutes at night at age 19. Despite that, LeBron only averaged one more point than Wemby is right now. While LeBron put up more assists, it's no surprise that a 7'4" center is averaging almost double the number of rebounds the King put up in his first season. The King was better with the steals, but Wemby is putting up more than 4 times as many blocks as LeBron. The stat which might stand out the most is that Wemby is doing all of this on a much worse team. At the time of writing, the Spurs sit last in the Western Conference, with only the Detroit Pistons having a worse record than them in the entire NBA. That is not a good look for Wemby. Particularly poor when you consider that LeBron led the Cavs to a 35-47 season, which was 18 more wins than the previous season. Wemby could help the Spurs improve, but when it comes to team success, LeBron was slightly further ahead of where Wemby is now. That's not that bad of a thing. Very few players in NBA history have ever settled into the league as quickly as LeBron James did 20 years ago. Wemby is still on track to be an exceptional player, but exactly how high is his ceiling? How good can Wemby be? Despite the fact that he is one of the most exciting prospects in NBA history, it is still difficult to predict exactly how high the ceiling of the Spurs center really is. The issue for Wemby is that we have never seen a player like him. There is no exact comparison you can make, even with some analysts trying to compare him to Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or even LeBron James. Kristaps Porzingis is the only prior example of a player well over 7 feet tall who could shoot the three and move smoothly. But Wemby is already a better player than Kristaps ever was, and his handles are way smoother than any player over 7 feet tall. I know it sounds ridiculous to say, but Victor Wembanyama really does have the potential to be the most unstoppable force in NBA history. At well over 7 feet tall, he could add a few pounds and become an unstoppable force in the paint. Being the tallest player in the league, it makes it difficult to stop him at the rim. But when teams do switch their big man defender onto him, he can dribble past and create his own shot. His handles are already brilliant, and with a solid 3-point shot, he can be a danger from anywhere on the court. On defense, he is a nightmare to match up with. Even if the opposing player can create some space, Wemby has the wingspan to block any shot. Don't even be surprised if the Spurs big man leads the league in blocks for the majority of his career. All of this potential will depend on one thing: fitness. Guys over 7 feet tall do not have a good record with injuries. Yao Ming is a great example of a dominant 7-footer whose career was cut short due to injury. The Spurs are managing him smartly at the moment, but the team will push him more than they become a contender. So if he can stay healthy, then the potential is almost limitless for this youngster. But what do you think the potential of Victor Wembanyama really is? Put your thoughts down in the comments down below, and while you're down there, hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.